I don't think there's any more question that Latinos are the nation's largest battleground electorate. And so Latinos are going to play a huge role in many elections this year in 2026 and going into the next presidential in 2028. We sort of switch around, move around. We're a very swingy vote. And the clearest example most recently is that the Latino community shifted towards Trump and the Republicans in record numbers in 2024, and now seem to be moving back towards the Democrats or center left and progressive candidates in 2026. We've seen special elections all across the map where Latinos have had major impact in making that happen. Here in Texas, the Taylor Remmitt race in Senate District 9 up in North Texas, in Tarrant County near Fort Worth, or in the Fort Worth area, where we saw a Democrat win in a very red district, a ruby red district that Trump had won by 17 points, because Latinos in that district voted for the Democrat Taylor Remmitt with 80% of the vote, where previously it had only broken about 50-50 in 2024. So we're seeing those things play out. Now we have a huge midterm election this November of 2026, where Democrats are really vying to take back control of the House of Representatives there in Congress. And it's a very tiny majority lead for Republicans right now, 217 to 214. So Democrats need to pick up 3 to 4 seats to take back the majority. Now, today I'm going to cover districts that have heavy Latino electorates, heavy Latino number of voters, registered voters, that are toss-up seats, that are these battleground seats throughout the Southwest. I know there's other Latino districts in Florida, New York, and other parts of the country, but for the sake of time, I'm going to cover the Southwest today, which is Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and really focus on which districts we could focus our efforts in, support candidates in, that could help really shift and move power away from the Republicans towards Democrats and center left Democrats, that could keep this president accountable, that could put more guardrails, because of what's been happening in this country is absolutely horrible. And so I think Latinos right now are responding to this failing economy, where people are losing jobs, where the cost of everything continues to go up, where the tariff policies from this president have been hurting small businesses and consumers, and people are feeling it in their pocket. I mean, my God, every time I go and spend money on food, or I go to Home Depot, or whatever the case is, everything seems to be more expensive. And if I'm feeling it, I'm very sure that many people across this country are feeling it, not just Latinos. But for the sake of this conversation, we're gonna talk about Latinos, and why the way they're voting right now is a response to a continuously failing economy under the Trump administration. A president that had promised during his candidacy to fix the economy on day one, and now it's been over a year and nothing has really changed. If anything, it's gotten worse. Of course, immigration is another big issue, because immigration is tied to the economy, and a lot of Latinos are very upset that people from their neighborhood, family members of theirs, people that they grew up with, people that they care about, are being rounded up by ICE agents aggressively through a lot of aggression and violence, and terrorizing them at work sites, at construction sites. In South Texas, the Builders Association have called out, or have basically begged Republicans and Donald Trump to stop the terrorizing of immigrants that are working in construction sites. The farmer industry has asked Trump to slow down their ICE raids in farms where undocumented workers are working to pick our crops. But none of that is happening because of people like Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, people that are very much aligned with the white supremacy agenda. And they're sticking to that, and they're going through with that, right? So we're seeing Latinos seeing it play out, and they're not happy. And this is the reason why somebody like Taylor Remmitt in North Texas won with 80% of the Latino vote. This is why Latinos came out in record numbers for a primary Democratic election here in Texas that had a huge say-so in this U.S. Senate race, right? So today I'm going to cover, more than anything, these congressional districts that are heavy Latino districts throughout the Southwest that could likely help be part of the overall national strategy to help Democrats get back into power, and to go after the corruption and the greed and the terrorizing of immigrant communities, and these like really terrible economic policies the type of budgets that are being passed at the federal level, so we could have more balance there, where at least there could be a check in the federal government that has been running rampant with one party control over the past year and 1/4. Now I want to start talking about Congressional District 23, which is a huge, massive district. It spans about 800 miles from San Antonio all the way to the El Paso area, El Paso County. Huge. We got Veronica Escobar's district, which covers mostly the city, but outside of El Paso County in the rural areas, all the way to San Antonio, down to the Del Rio, Uvalde. Just think of all those major rural border counties, and then all the way up to Bexar County, which is in San Antonio. That's been Tony Gonzalez's seat. Of course, Tony Gonzalez recently said that he was stepping down after that very scandalous information that came out about him with the staffer of his who had committed suicide after text got revealed that he had an inappropriate relationship with his staffer, and so he stepped down. Brandon Herrera is going to be the Republican nominee there. He is a YouTuber. He is very much considered a right winger, and he is going to be running against a person. Let me see here. Maureen. No, I'm looking at the Texas 35th, the Texas 23rd district. The Democrat nominee is Katie Padilla Stout, San Antonio attorney and former teacher who wasn't even recruited by the National Democrats. She got in because she saw this coming. She knew that their Democrats were going to have a shot in this district. The Cook Political Report still rates this a Republican seat because Trump won it by 15 points in 2024. But if Democrats decide to spend money there, it's going to force Republicans to defend there. I saw a poll earlier today. I don't know who conducted the poll that showed that Katie Padilla Stout here was only down by a few points against Brandon Herrera. But considering that this district is 64% Latino, the electorate is 64% Latino. What I mean by that is that of all the registered voters in a district, 64% of registered voters are Latino. And so we're seeing this wave of new Latino voters coming out with this fervor against Trump to vote for Democrats because they're so against Trump. This race could be, or this district could be flipped towards the Democrats. It really can. I mean, if we saw a district that was plus 17 Trump, go plus 14 Democrats in Fort Worth, I think it's feasible to think that this is possible here in this district. And then, of course, we have the Texas 15 congressional district, which is currently held by Monica de la Cruz, Republican. They came into power in 2022 and then rode on the coattails of Donald Trump in 2024 and won by 14 points then. But now we have Bobby Pulido running there. He is a Democratic nominee, went through a primary there where he performed really, really well with 68% of the vote. And now he is gaining momentum. Obviously, he's a person that had a lot of name ID, a lot of favorability with folks because they knew who he was. He's got deep roots and deep connections to South Texas overall, because remember, it's not just the Rio Grande Valley that's that district. It goes up towards Gonzales and B County and a few other more rural counties up there north of the Rio Grande Valley area. Now, the Cook Political Report still has us as a lean Republican. I will say, just like I mentioned for the Texas 23rd, that because so many Latinos are starting to turn on Donald Trump and the Republicans, there's been some polling that 1 out of 5 Latinos are regretting their vote for Donald Trump. I think a lot of voters in Texas, there was historic numbers of Latinos voting in these primary Democratic elections in South Texas as well, where a large chunk of people that were voting, that were Latinos, were voting for the first time. So I think Bobby Pulido benefited from that in that primary, and I think that energy could carry over into November. Now, the Cook Political Report has this lean Republican because, again, they're basing it on 2024 Trump numbers, but I don't think we can rely on that right now, just because there's a historic turnaround in terms of community, like the Latino community, just completely opposing something they supported just a year and a half ago or 2 years ago from the polling in 2024. So that could be extremely beneficial for Bobby Pulido. And I think the National Democratic Committee, Congressional Committee, is going to be very invested in this race. And they're going to be trying to pump in as much money as possible in this race as one of the races that could be flipped. Texas 23rd could be flipped by Padilla Stout. Certainly, I think the Texas 15th could be flipped by Bobby Pulido. And then let's go to the Texas 35th district, San Antonio exurbs outside of the San Antonio area, southeast Barrett County, out through Guadalupe, Wilson, Karnes County. Here's what you need to know about this district. Republicans drew it. They specifically redesigned it to be a Republican seat. The old Texas 35th district ran like a spine from San Antonio to Austin through heavily Latino working class neighborhoods. It reliably sent a Democrat to Congress. Greg Casar held that seat for several cycles, but Republicans redrew it in 2025 in that mid-district redistricting scandal that happened here in Texas at the behest of Donald Trump. The new district contains less than 10% of its former constituents, so it's a very different part of Texas, and they basically created a brand new seat, one that Trump would have won by 10 points, and they handed it to themselves. Greg Casar, who lives in Austin, moved to the new blue seat next door, and so the Texas 35th district is now an open seat, and the Republican primary is its own civil war, where John Lujan, a state rep, who actually helped draw these maps, versus Carlos de la Cruz, the brother of South Texas Congresswoman Monica de la Cruz, who has Trump's endorsement, and both are headed to a May runoff. And on the Democratic side, Maureen Galindo, a tenant organizer and community psychologist from San Antonio, seems to be the likely nominee. She's been getting a lot of support from the other Democratic primary candidates that didn't make the runoff. She got their endorsement. And Inside Election rates this likely Republican. But here's the thing about this district. Republicans drew this map assuming 2024 Latino realignment was permanent. As I mentioned earlier about the Texas 15th race and the Texas 23rd, I think it's the same here. 54% of this district is Latino. And on the issues, if it's tariffs, deportations, Medicaid cuts are driving Latinos back towards Democrats, this district exactly where that shows up first. And so a district 35, 2 runoffs, something to pay close attention to. It seems like Maureen Galindo has a lot of support there to win that runoff on the Democratic side. It was only a plus 10 in the redrawn district for Trump, of course, assuming the 2024 Latino numbers for Donald Trump. It's still an uphill battle for these districts. They still have to prove it and do it. These Democrats still have to pull it off. But I'm saying that they have a really good shot with the political environment right now, especially the way that Latinos are switching back towards Democrats at record numbers in Texas and nationally. All right, let's move over next door to New Mexico, New Mexico's 2nd congressional district. It's southern New Mexico, Las Cruces, and the border region. It's 54% Latino citizen voting age population. And Democrat Gabe Vasquez holds this seat. And I think he only won it by 1 or 2 points. And it's a +1 Trump Republican district, if I believe correctly. And the personal story is worth knowing of Gabe Vasquez. His grandfather was a farmer in Mexico. Gabe was the first in his family born in the U.S. He worked retail jobs, and now he's in Congress. He won a district that Trump carried, like I mentioned, which means he's proven he can win over performing voters. Cook Political Report is rating this as a toss-up seat, a true toss-up seat with a Democrat currently in power. But I wanted to mention this seat, even though it's Democratic control, because it has to be defended. It is a majority Latino district with the electorate and population overwise, very Latino. It's the border counties, like I mentioned, Las Cruces. Same math as Arizona, 10-point Latino crossover toward Democrats in the district doesn't just keep Vasquez safe, it makes him comfortable. The question is whether that crossover materializes in a district where the Republican Party will invest heavily to flip it. Right. So I think that's a big question. But I'm going to stick to this. I'm going to stick to the fact that Latinos are pissed off right now, and that Gabe was able to perform well in a political environment in 2024 that was very rough for Democrats. And now he's going to have to perform in a year where it's better. The political environment is better for Democrats. So I think Gabe Vasquez is going to do really well there. But of course, he still has to campaign. He still has to do the work. He still has to grind it out in a race where, Republicans are for sure going to spend money just looking at the +1 Republican district in the Cook Political Report. All right, moving over to the Centennial State, the beautiful state of Colorado, the Colorado 8th Congressional District, northern Denver suburbs, Greeley, and other towns there. It's 40% Latino population, the highest concentration of any congressional district in Colorado. It's currently held by Republican Gabe Evans. He flipped the seat in 2024 by less than a percentage point. Very, very close. Yadira Caraveo was in power then. She had served one cycle there. She's the Democrat that he beat. back in 2024, has higher favorability ratings than Evans in the district right now and is running to take it back. So she's looking to take it back after she had held it for one election cycle, then lost in 2024, which we believe Evans was riding on the coattails of Donald Trump and what was happening then, but now she's running back to take the seat back. Cook rates it as a toss-up. The Cook Political Report has it as a toss-up. Big Latino district, 40% electorate is Latino. And Evans won with 49% of the vote. This is a definition of a district that swings with the political winds. It has flipped in every single election since it was created in 2022. And in a midterm with an unpopular president, a struggling economy, and a Latino electorate that's been showing signs of moving back towards Democrats, this is a seat Democrats should absolutely win. And I'm looking forward to having Congresswoman Caraveo back in power in that district, in the Colorado 8th congressional district. And then bringing it back to the border in the Arizona 6th congressional district, the Tucson area, the southeastern part of the Arizona-Mexico border, the Tucson suburbs. Republican Juan Ciscomani holds the seat. He's a Mexican-American who is a Republican holding that seat. It's a smaller Latino electorate, but still sizable. It could still make a difference. 21% Latino citizens voting age population in a district. The Cook Political Report rates it as a toss-up, meaning either party has a real shot at this district. And the math here is very simple. The analysts have run the numbers and found that a 10-point shift among Latino voters towards Democrats in this district, it's the kind of shift we've been seeing in recent special elections and polling, creates a nearly 4 to 5 point Democratic advantage in this seat. Ciscomani is already rated one of the most endangered Republicans in the House. Arizona is a state with a competitive Senate race and a governor's race in 2026, so there will be money invested and a lot of activity going on in Arizona in 2026. We believe it is a battleground state, presidential battleground state, and I think that's a perception that's going to continue being battleground for some of these statewide races, which could have an impact in this congressional race in terms of funding and attention. There's definitely going to be a lot of attention from the Democrats. They smell blood there. They feel that they could take it. Latino turnout operations will be fully activated. This seat is very much in play. Joanna Mendoza is a veteran community organizer who is running as one of the Democratic, as a Democrat. I'm not sure if she has a Democratic primary opponents right now, but she seems to be the name that's been grabbing a lot of attention. I know some folks out there that are veterans with Common Defense and organizers, rural organizers in that area that are very excited about Joanna Mendoza taking on Ciscomani for this one and being able to garner that Latino support, that shift of Latinos towards Democrat as somebody that's deeply rooted in that community and with the Latino community. Bringing it back to South Texas border, Texas Congressional District 34, Vicente Gonzalez is the Democratic nominee there. He is facing a challenger in Eric Flores. Now, this is about a plus 10 district, gerrymandered. It now includes Nueces County. It's now tied to this border county in Cameron County. So both the Corpus Christi and the Rio Grande Valley make up this district now. And it's less Latino than it was previously. And so it's giving an advantage towards Republicans in that end. However, looking at the Democratic primary turnout that just happened a week ago here in Texas, Democrats by far outnumbered turnout the Republicans in that district. So much so that even the runner-up and the Democratic nominee had more votes than Eric Flores, the Republican nominee. So Etienne Rosas, a good friend of mine, came in second in the Democratic primary, had more votes than the Republican nominee. So I think that's an alarming sign, I think, for Republicans and how they're going to fare in that district. So because of that, I do think that Vicente has a really good shot, obviously, because there's just more energy. There seems to be just more energy and more anger from Democrats to show up and vote for the Democrat. Now, Vicente Gonzalez and like Henry Cuellar are some of the most conservative Democrats in Congress, but because they are the nominees and they're facing these really MAGA-backed candidates, the energy is against MAGA, so it's going to be an anti-Trump vote. I think that's going to safely help Vicente Gonzalez in Texas 34, and I'll honorable mention Congressional District 28, Henry Cuellar as well. Although Henry Cuellar also performed really well, even in 2024 when Trump had performed really well. with voters in some of those border counties like Starr and Zapata County. Now, there's many more districts across the country that are flippable, that are toss-up seats. But just to put it into perspective, Democrats only need 3 to 4 seats to flip the House of Representatives. And I just mentioned 7 or 8 districts right now, just in the Southwest portion of the United States, where Latinos on their own could have that impact and flip these seats, protect some seats, but flip some seats, many seats that could play a major role and make sure that Democrats take back the House of Representatives and being able to try to build some guardrails around this crazy Trump administration and the things that they're doing in all facets of government, whether internationally or domestically. So hope you all liked the little breakdown. See you all next time.